The drunk swung the chair before Temperance Wade could finish the first verse. Eamon Pruitt caught the chair back one-handed and shoved the man sideways into a table that cracked under the weight. Temperance did not stop singing. Her voice cut through the noise, clear and low. The kind of voice that made men quiet down or start thinking about things they had lost. Eamon stepped between her and the crowd, boots solid on the plank stage, shoulders square. He did not look at her. She did not thank him. The song ended. The room stayed tense. Marshal Cord Draven pushed through the batwing doors, badge catching the slant of light, mouth already moving. "You got a problem here, Pruitt?" Eamon turned slow, hands loose at his sides. "No problem, Marshal. Just a man who could not hold his liquor." Draven smiled thin. Funny how trouble follows Miss Wade like a shadow. Maybe the lady should consider a quieter line of work. Temperance met his eyes without blinking. "I sing 5 nights a week. The Broken Spur stays open because I do." Draven tipped his hat. All mockery and no manners. "We will see how long that lasts." He left. The saloon exhaled. Eamon finally turned to Temperance. "You should have stopped singing." She stepped down from the stage, skirt brushing past him. "If I stop every time someone swings a chair, I might as well leave town." He watched her walk to the bar, tension still tight in his jaw. That is what they want. She poured herself water from a tin pitcher, hand steady. "I know." Outside, the street baked under high desert sun. Broken Ridge sat like a tired dog in the dust. Buildings leaning, paint long gone, hope running thin. The bank had foreclosed on 2 ranches that spring. The Broken Spur Saloon carried debts older than most of the men drinking there. Temperance Wade kept it alive with her voice and her grit. Eamon Pruitt kept his horses out at Red Mesa Ranch and his business to himself. They had spoken maybe 10 times in 3 years. Every time, something broke or someone bled. Eamon walked her back to the boarding house that evening. She did not ask him to. He did not explain. They moved through the long shadows, boots crunching gravel, neither one speaking. At the porch steps, she finally stopped. "Why do you keep doing this?" He looked past her, jaw tight. "Someone has to." That is not an answer. He met her eyes then. "Maybe I do not have a better one." She went inside. He stood there another minute, then turned and walked back toward the livery stable where he kept his best mare. The town felt smaller every day. People left. Businesses closed. The bank sent notices. Marshal Draven collected fees no one could pay and smiled while he did it. Temperance sang, and the Broken Spur stayed open, and that mattered to more people than she knew. That night she dreamed about the accusation. 3 years back. A missing lockbox. Her name in the wrong mouth at the wrong time. No trial, just whispers that stuck like tar. She had not stolen anything. No one cared. She learned to sing louder than the rumors and keep her head high when she wanted to run. Morning came hard and bright. Temperance walked to the general store for coffee and thread. The store owner, a gray woman named Mrs. Halford, slid the items across the counter without meeting her eyes. "That will be $2. Temperance counted coins. Last week it was $1.50. "Mrs. Halford folded her arms. Prices go up. Temperance paid and left. She did not argue. Arguing made things worse. Eamon was tying his mare outside when she came down the steps. He saw her face. What happened? Nothing. He stepped closer. Temperance. She looked at him then, and something in her expression cracked just enough to show the exhaustion underneath. They keep pushing. Every day a little more. He took the package from her hands without asking, and walked her toward the edge of town where the air felt cleaner. They stopped under a cottonwood that had survived more droughts than most people survived heartbreaks. He handed the package back. You could leave. Go somewhere they do not know your name. She looked out at the open land, dry and endless. I thought about it. Every week I think about it. But if I leave, the spur closes. If the spur closes, half the men in this town lose the one place they can afford a drink and a meal. And Draven wins. Eamon looked at her profile, the line of her jaw, the way she held herself like she was made of iron even when she was breaking. You did not take that money. I know. She turned to him, surprise flickering. You believe me? He nodded once. I have watched you for 3 years. You do not steal. You do not lie. You just keep standing. That was the moment something shifted. Not love yet. Not trust. Just the beginning of both. 2 days later, the notice went up. The bank was foreclosing on the Broken Spur Saloon. Payment due in full within 30 days, or the property would go to auction. Temperance read it 3 times, standing in the middle of the empty saloon. Morning light cold through the windows. The owner, an old man named Judd Calloway, sat slumped at a corner table. I am sorry, Miss Wade. I got nothing left to give. She folded the notice and put it in her pocket. How much do they want? $3,000. She did not flinch. I have $60 saved. He shook his head. It is over. She walked out before he could see her hands shake. Eamon found her that afternoon at the train depot. She was sitting on a bench with a small carpet bag beside her, staring at the empty tracks. He sat down next to her. You leaving? She did not look at him. I bought a ticket to Santa Fe. Leaves tomorrow at noon. He was quiet for a long moment. That is not what you want. She finally turned, eyes bright and hard. What I want does not matter. The spur is done. Draven wins. I lose. Same story, different town. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. What if we fight? She laughed, bitter and tired. With what? Hope? He turned his head, met her eyes. With $3,000. She stared. You do not have that kind of money. He did not answer right away. Then, quiet. I have a ranch. Red Mesa. Free and clear. I could borrow against it. Her breath caught. You would lose everything. He nodded. Maybe. Or maybe we save the spur and you stay. She shook her head hard. I cannot let you do that. Why not? Because if it fails, you lose your home for a place that is not even yours. He leaned closer. What if I want it to be ours? The air between them felt too tight. She could not breathe right. You do not even know me. He held her gaze. I know you did not steal anything. I know you sing every night, even when they hate you for it. I know you would rather run than ask for help. And I know if you leave tomorrow, I am going to regret not saying this for the rest of my life. She stood up fast, hands shaking. This is insane. He stood too, Probably. But it is also the only chance either of us has at building something that matters. She turned away, staring at the empty tracks. I was going to disappear, start over. No one knowing my name. No one whispering. He stepped beside her, voice low. You can do that. Or you can stay and prove them all wrong. She did not get on the train the next day. Instead, she met Eamon at the land office. He signed papers she could barely read through the tightness in her chest. The clerk looked bored. He did not care that a man was betting his entire future on a woman the town had already condemned. Outside, Eamon handed her the receipt. We have 30 days to make this work. She folded the paper carefully. If we fail, we will not. She met his eyes. How do you know? Because I have spent 3 years watching you fight alone. I figure together, we might actually win. They went back to the Spur and sat down with Judd Calloway. Eamon laid out the loan papers. We cover the foreclosure. You sign over half ownership to Temperance. Judd blinked, confused. Why would you do this? Eamon did not hesitate. Because she has kept this place alive, and it is time someone noticed. Judd looked at Temperance. You trust him? She paused, then nodded slowly. I am starting to. The next 2 weeks were a blur. Temperance sang every night. Eamon worked the ranch during the day and helped repair the Spur every evening. They painted walls, fixed tables, replaced cracked glass. The town watched. Some folks whispered. Others started coming back, curious. A few even smiled. Then Marshall Draven came back. He walked in during the dinner hour, boots loud on the new floorboards. Place looks good. Shame it will not matter. Eamon straightened from the table he was sanding. We paid the debt. Draven smiled cold. You borrowed money, Pruitt. That is not the same as paying. Banks change their minds. Temperance stepped forward. The contract is signed. He turned to her, eyes flat. Contracts get lost. Accidents happen. People leave town in the middle of the night. You know how it goes, Miss Wade. Eamon moved fast, stepping between them. You threatening her? Draven tilted his head, just offering friendly advice. This town does not need a saloon run by a thief and a fool. Eamon's hand curled into a fist. Temperance touched his arm, light but firm. He is not worth it. Draven laughed and walked out. The room felt poisoned. That night, Temperance could not sleep. She sat on the boarding house porch, wrapped in her shawl, watching the stars. Eamon found her there an hour past midnight. He sat down beside her without asking. She did not send him away. For a long time, neither of them spoke. Then she said, Quiet. I should not have let you risk your ranch. He leaned back against the post. I wanted to. That does not make it right. He turned his head, looked at her in the starlight. Maybe right does not matter as much as what we choose to fight for. She looked at him then, really looked. Why are you doing this? All of it. The loan, the repairs, standing between me and Draven. What do you get out of it? He was quiet a long moment. Then, home. Same as you. She shook her head slowly. You already have a home. The ranch. He met her eyes. A house is not a home if you are alone in it. Her breath caught. She did not know what to say. He did not push. They sat there under the stars, shoulders almost touching, the space between them humming with things neither of them knew how to name yet. Morning brought trouble. The bank clerk arrived with new papers. The loan terms had changed. Payment now due in 2 weeks instead of 4, and the interest rate had doubled. Eamon read the document twice, jaw tight. This is not legal. The clerk shrugged. Take it up with the bank president. He is in Cheyenne until next month. Temperance felt the walls closing in. They did this on purpose. Eamon crumpled the paper. We will fight it. How? We do not have time to get a lawyer. And even if we did, Draven owns half the officials in this county. She walked outside, needing air. Eamon followed. They stood in the street, dust blowing, sun too bright. I can still leave, she said. Take the loss. You keep your ranch. He stepped closer. No. We are in this together now. She shook her head, frustration breaking through. You barely know me. You are betting everything on someone this town already decided was guilty. Why? He reached out, took her hand. Because I see you. Not what they say about you. You. And I would rather lose everything fighting beside you than keep everything and lose the chance to build something real. She could not speak. Her throat was too tight. He squeezed her hand gently. We will figure this out. She nodded, not trusting her voice. They went back inside and started planning. Word spread fast. By evening, half the town knew the bank had changed the terms. Some folks muttered that Temperance Wade brought bad luck. Others started to question why the bank kept changing the rules. A few men who drank at the Spur every week pooled coins and left them on the bar. It was not much. $20 maybe. But it was something. Temperance stood there staring at the pile of coins, throat aching. Eamon stood beside her. People are starting to see. She wiped her eyes fast. It is not enough. Not yet. But it is a start. 3 days before the new deadline, a stranger rode into town. Tall, well-dressed, riding a fine black horse. He went straight to the marshal's office and stayed an hour. When he left, he tipped his hat to Temperance on the street. She did not recognize him. Eamon did. That is, Clayton Shaw. He works for the Territorial Land Syndicate. Temperance frowned. What does that mean? It means someone wants this town, and they are buying up properties through the bank. The Spur is just one piece. They went to see Judd Calloway. He was packing his belongings, face gray. They offered me $500 to walk away. Sign over my share, no questions. I am sorry, Miss Wade. I cannot fight anymore. Temperance felt the ground tilt. If Judd sold, she and Eamon would be fighting the syndicate alone, and the new deadline would bury them. She looked at Eamon. He looked back, jaw set. We need a new plan. That night, Temperance sang at the Spur. The room was fuller than usual. People had come to see if she would break. She did not. She sang every song she knew, voice strong and clear, and when she finished the room stood silent for 3 long seconds before someone started clapping. Then another. Then the whole room. It was not applause, it was defiance. She met Eamon's eyes across the room. He nodded once. Message received. After closing, They sat alone in the empty saloon. One lantern burned low. Eamon poured 2 glasses of whiskey. She took one. They drank in silence. Then he said, "There is one thing we have not tried." She looked at him. "What?" "Going public. Making noise. If we can get enough people on our side before the auction, maybe we can pressure the bank to back down." She frowned. "How?" He leaned forward. "You sing at the auction. Right there in front of everyone. Make them see you. Make them choose." She stared at him. "That is insane." He smiled faint. "You said that about the loan, too." She almost laughed. "This is different. If I stand up there, and they still choose against me, I lose everything in front of the whole town." He reached across the table, covered her hand with his. "You already lost everything once. You survived. This time, you will not be alone." She did not sleep that night. She thought about running, about staying, about standing in front of a crowd that hated her and singing anyway, about Eamon losing his ranch because he believed in her when no one else did. By dawn, she had decided. She was done running. The auction was set for noon on Saturday. The whole town showed up. Wooden benches filled the street in front of the land office. Marshal Draven stood near the front, arms crossed. Clayton Shaw sat on the platform beside the auctioneer, looking bored. Eamon stood at the back, tense as a coiled spring. Temperance walked up the center aisle, every eye on her. Whispers followed. She did not look down. The auctioneer banged his gavel. "We are here to auction the property known as the Broken Spur Saloon. Opening bid is $3,000. Clayton Shaw raised his hand immediately. 3,000. The auctioneer nodded. "Do I hear 3,500? Silence. Shaw smiled. "Going once." Temperance stepped onto the platform. The crowd murmured. Draven moved forward. "Ma'am, you need to step down." She ignored him. She turned to face the crowd. Her voice came out steady. "I know what you think of me. I know the rumors. 3 years ago, someone stole money, and my name got tied to it. I did not take that money. I have no proof, just my word. But I have sung in that saloon 5 nights a week for 3 years. I have kept it open when no one else could. And if you let them take it today, you are not just taking a building. You are telling every person in this town that rumors matter more than truth. And money matters more than people." The crowd shifted. A few people looked uncomfortable. Shaw stood. "This is not a courtroom, Miss Wade. This is business." She turned to him. "You are right. This is business. And I am offering $4,000. Shaw laughed. "You do not have $4,000. She met his eyes. "I have a partner who does." Eamon pushed through the crowd, climbed onto the platform beside her. His voice carried clear. $4,000. Cash. Backed by Red Mesa Ranch. The crowd went silent. Draven stepped forward. "That ranch is not worth 4,000. Eamon did not look at him. "It is worth 5. I am offering 4. Shaw narrowed his eyes. "You are bluffing." Eamon pulled folded papers from his coat. "Deed to the ranch. Signed. Notarized this morning. You want the spur You will have to outbid me. Shaw looked at the papers, then at Eamon, then at Temperance. His smile faded. 5,000. The crowd gasped. Eamon did not hesitate. 6,000. Shaw stood silent a long moment. Then he sat down. The auctioneer banged the gavel. Sold. To Eamon Pruitt and Temperance Wade. $6,000. The crowd erupted. Some cheered. Some shouted. Draven turned and walked away, jaw tight. Shaw followed. Eamon turned to Temperance. She stared at him. You just bet your entire ranch. He smiled faint. Our ranch. If you will have me. She could not speak. Her eyes filled. He took her hand. I meant what I said on the platform. Partner. In the spur. In the ranch. In whatever comes next. If you want that. She nodded, throat too tight for words. He pulled her close, right there in front of everyone. The crowd noise faded. She pressed her forehead to his shoulder, shaking. We just bought a saloon for $6,000 we do not have. He laughed quiet. We will figure it out. We always do. She pulled back, looked up at him. Why? Why risk everything? He brushed a strand of hair from her face. Because you are worth everything. Someone in the crowd started clapping slow and deliberate. Then another. Then the whole street. It was not polite applause. It was the sound of a town choosing a side. Temperance turned, looked out at the faces. Some were smiling. Some were crying. A few men took off their hats. Mrs. Halford from the general store stood up. She did not smile, but she nodded once. It was enough. That night, the spur was packed. People bought drinks. They listened to Temperance sing. They shook Eamon's hand. Money appeared on the bar, small amounts from people who could not afford it, but gave anyway. By closing time, they had collected $800. It was not enough to cover the bid, but it was proof that the town had turned. Judd Calloway came back. He tore up the syndicate offer and signed his share over to Temperance for $1. I should have done this 3 years ago, he said. She hugged him. He cried. Eamon and Temperance stood outside under the stars after everyone left. The street was quiet. The town felt different. Lighter. She leaned against the hitching post, exhausted. We still owe $6,000. He leaned beside her. We will pay it off. A little every month. It will take years. She looked at him. You are not worried? He shook his head. I spent 3 years alone, building something that did not mean much because there was no one to share it with. Now I have a partner, a place worth fighting for, and a reason to stay. She smiled slow. That was almost romantic. He grinned. Almost? She turned to face him fully. He straightened. The air between them shifted. She reached up, touched his face. Thank you. For believing me. For risking everything. For not letting me run. He covered her hand with his. I would do it again. Tomorrow. Every day. She kissed him then, soft and sure. He pulled her close, arms tight around her, and kissed her back like he had been waiting 3 years to do it. Maybe he had. When they finally broke apart, she rested her forehead against his. So we are doing this. Building a life. Together. He nodded. Together. They stood there a long time, holding each other under the stars, the broken spur behind them, the future uncertain but theirs. The town had chosen. They had chosen. And for the first time in 3 years, Temperance Wade felt like she was home.